Welcome back to another video, guys. Today we are doing a weekly update on all One Piece booster boxes, whether they've gone down, whether they've gone up, or they've sidelined. We are covering it. Now, this has been another fantastic week for One Piece, but today what we'll be doing is we'll be going over every single booster box and we'll be comparing it to the previous week. But let's take a look at the spreadsheet. Alright, so we have a lot of green, mostly green. So if you're new to this series, what I do is I go over all of the boxes and I give a little gold star to the one that has gone up the most. So we'll be revealing that at the end of the video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But previous week was OP07, which was remarkable. But anyways, let's start off with OP01 Blue Bottom. So the previous year it was $4,850. Now it is $4,730. So it's dipped about 120-ish bucks. If we look on TCG Player, we'll see it hasn't really been doing much. Considering this one moved up a lot previously, like this only went for like $2,000 like a couple months ago. So when you have such a large movement on that on an expensive booster box, generally it does stay at this price for a decent amount of time. Like if you look at any other trading card games, if you look at, usually once something becomes quite expensive, it takes a very long time for people to even justify buying it at that price. But then the discussion of buying it for even more is like something that comes way later, right? So I would expect Blue Bottom to hover around this range for a good while, to be honest with you. Alrighty, so White Bottom, previous week it was $1,400, now it's $1,410. Honestly, it's not that much. If you're curious on how I get these prices, what I generally do is I look at the last 7 sales on TCG Player, get an average, and that's usually the price that I get. So it's only moved up a little bit. Realistically, it went from like $1,240 next week it was $1,400 and now it's $1,410, so it is progress. But yeah, like nonetheless, White Bottom has a very similar chart to Blue Bottom. You'll notice that it just like exploded one day. It's, well, not necessarily one day, but like 1 week. You'll see it's a very similar thing to this, go up really quickly and then sort of sideline. But that is pretty common whenever it comes to these boxes. When these boxes go up, it generally does move the whole market. Speaking of moving the whole market, look at this, guys. OP02 went from $249 a booster box. Huge round of applause for OP02. This is beautiful. This is amazing. It's now $408. You know what, dude? It was due for it to happen. Like this set, it's okay, look, it's not the best set, but it is the second set of One Piece. Come on, like that has something to it. Like you got to give it something for that. It does have an 8 manga, which is really nice. It's a very good looking manga in my honest opinion. It's got pretty decent amount of sales upwards. You'll notice that's only like the last 7, which is sort of funny. But yeah, the thing is, once it becomes this expensive, generally doesn't go lower unless there are reprints. But hey, huge achievement for OP02. Finally happened. This box was at the 220 to 250 range for a good while. Like if we just quickly zoom out, we'll like you'll see this thing has been like around this range for a good while. Yes, it has been going up, but it never really cracked new numbers, right? It just slowly but surely went up, but then boom, one day 400. So yeah, moving on to OP03, it is up from 340 to 398. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna say this week has probably been better than the previous week, and it hasn't actually gone up more percentage wise. We'll reveal that at the end of the video. But the thing that I like about this week specifically is that you're seeing a lot of booster boxes just go up. It doesn't have to be good ones. You're just seeing booster boxes go up, which is really interesting. And it makes sense. The first thing that goes up usually are the best booster boxes, and then everything else moves up. You'll see that later in this video. Like we're seeing 30-40% returns from the worst sets, but they're so cheap. So now they're expensive. So very, very interesting to see. This has got some nice sales at like 400, 390 range. Moving on to OP04 from 270 to 360. Once again, so impressive. Look, this set, I've said it before, it's not the best set out there. However, it does have that Boa Hancock, which is really nice. It's one of the most expensive, like, non-manga cards. It's really up there in price. Something I really like about that card is it rose in price. It didn't just do it immediately. It rose in price after many years of going up. Let me show you the card. Let's look at these sales. We've got sales at near mint is like 650. There's a couple of like 850, but well, let's get some consistent numbers. We've got like 480, 495. So you got like a couple at 640, 650, but dude, look at this price from the year. Like that is insane. $129. Now that card is selling all the way upwards of $650. This card right here is doing numbers for OP04, the booster box. Moving on to OP05, nothing too crazy. Of course, 685 to 775 is definitely quite impressive, but at the same time, it's nothing insane. And when I say that, I mean like, I guess there's more interesting things. Like there's some boxes that have moved up like 50%. So we'll talk about them later in this video, but let's quickly take a look at this. So got some pretty good consistent sales. You'll see like there is so much liquid in this market. Something I really noticed with One Piece is it's stealing a lot of liquidity from other trading card games. Magic the Gathering is doing really, really bad right now. Pokemon is doing really, really bad right now. And you can see all that money is being funneled into One Piece. So I started my channel 2-3 weeks ago, however long it was. I think about 3 weeks ago. And from the dynamic from then to now is night and day, right? So like, if you got in like mid-November or early November, more than likely you've already been into One Piece in the trading card game. It's just you took a break and you came back, right? So like for me, I got in when OPO 3 or OPO 4 came out, around that range. It was very new, the trading card game. And I was there for a bit and then I took a break, right? But then I came back because I looked at OP 13 and I was like, wow, that's a really good set. But it is still hit people who have been in the trading card game. But now you're seeing like the retail investors. Now you're seeing like those waves of people who have no idea what One Piece is. They have no idea whatsoever. They've just seen a bunch of returns and they've just been attracted to it. So the dynamic has definitely really changed, which is very interesting, to be honest. Like, it is definitely night and day. Like, there are some people, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, and there are some people who just scalp Pokemon, and they just scalp some Magic the Gathering items that are scalp worthy, like reselling it, right? And those people are now entering One Piece, but they would have never entered One Piece if the market didn't explode, right? So it is very interesting to see nonetheless. Like a couple weeks ago, those people who got in generally are the people who have been like tapped into the hobby, and they could see OP13 and go like, oh, that's actually a really good booster box. Let me grab a couple. But then now you're seeing all the retail money enter, which is why everything is going up. Because if you have been in the hobby at least in the past, then you know which sets are good. But if you're just entering now, you have no idea what you're doing, which is fine. But then that's why we're seeing this week a lot of cheap booster boxes are going up. If you have no idea what's good or bad, would you rather buy a $700 booster box or a $100 booster box? So that's why we'll see a lot of other booster boxes go up a lot, but we'll get to them in a sec. Okay, so I made a video yesterday, and I actually do apologize for this. I just need to quickly just mention this. So I made a video yesterday talking about where you should invest $2,000 if you want to in One Piece. I had 3 options: long-term, mid-term, and gains right now. So in the mid-term, what I did was we had some leftover funds, right? Like I was recommending OP13, OP11, and a couple, and I had some funds left over, right? I had like $150, and I said in the video, I said, hey, we have $150, just buy an OP08 booster box. It's a really bad booster box, but just buy it because it's like we have leftover funds, right? And then in the video, I said, if you can add like an extra $20, I was saying, because OP06 is a $190 booster box. I was saying, if you can just add like $20, like go for it and just buy OP09. So you'll be like $30 over the budget. However, I didn't actually check the price of OP06. I forgot that we're in this insane bull run where everything doubles every freaking day. So just small correction from yesterday's video. OPO6 is not a $190 booster box anymore. It's $275. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, because like in the videos, I'm happy to go like maybe a maximum of like $100 over, but I don't really like going under the budget, because if someone has $2,000, they want to spend $2,000, not $18 or $19.50 or $18.50. They want to spend that, and people are happy to go a little bit over to get those good boxes. So yeah, I apologize for that. I thought it was like $20 more, but it's more like $130 more. So anyways, very unnecessary information. But anyways, moving on. EBO1, it went from 670 to 775. That's decent, but once again, this week is more for the cheaper booster boxes. But yeah, EBO1, this is getting expensive, this box. I do wonder how expensive this is going to get, because this has the Chopper manga, and the thing about the Chopper manga is in season 2 of the live action One Piece show, Chopper is making an appearance, so it will be kind of interesting to see. Like, will that make the card go up? Because, you know, when the live action TV show came out, it hit a whole new audience, right? People who don't watch anime, it hit live action people who watch live action. So it didn't make any cards really pump. It's not like you had a Zoro card pump. In fact, I don't even think, OPO6 wasn't even out when the TV show came out. It's not like you saw specific cards of OPO1 to OPO5 go up. So yeah, with this, it might be a little bit different. Like with season 2, it might make the Chopper explode in value, and then maybe in the future people speculate like, oh well, in season 2 that season made Chopper explode, well, season 3 has this person featured, so maybe this manga will explode, right? So it will be interesting to see the dynamic of what season 2 does do to EBO1. EBO1 is super expensive, but it does have the Chopper, and we've seen boxes that have good mangas are really expensive, though this is already really expensive to begin with, so it will definitely be interesting to spectate on the sidelines. Moving on to OP07, if we check the spreadsheet, you'll notice this is the box, one of the 2 boxes that's actually down in price. It jumped from 130 to 200, which made it the largest percentage jump from that week. And now it is pulling back a bit. Basically, it's so cheap, the pulling back, I wouldn't even call it going down. It's more of just stagnating. And it just so happens to be $1 cheaper. Like, if you check, TCG Player has this market price at $199, and you can see like, you can see a couple for $215, but then you see predominantly like $197 to like $199. So it's not really that crazy. There's honestly nothing to even talk about. So it's just pointless wasting time on this box. It went up a lot last week. It's chilling this week. It's fair. Okay, and this is where we really get into the cheaper boxes seriously moving up. So OP08 went from $116 a booster box all the way to $150. And I think the reason why is because it's a cheap booster box. You've got to remember, Pokemon, what was the first thing that happened when Pokemon exploded a year ago? All the expensive boxes went up. But what was the next thing? All the cheap boxes went up. So generally people gravitate towards the best, then they just grab whatever they can get. So it starts off with entitlement, like thinking I'm going to wait. And then it goes on to, all right, I'm going to buy the best box, no matter the price. And then it goes back to entitlement for cheaper boxes, like I'm going to only buy cheap boxes at $100 or $110, and then it turns into desperation where people go, all right, whatever, I'll just grab anything. And that's exactly what happened with Pokemon. So it's the same thing with this. Like OP13, if we just quickly take a look at this dude. When I made a video talking about OP13 when it was like 170, whatever it was, someone commented and they said he's thinking about waiting for 160. And I said to him, I'm begging you, please not wait. Like, it's not worth it. I said, please, I beg you, if it does end up going down, like buy it right now. If it does end up going down, please, just maybe dollar cost average, buy a couple more to take down your average. But I was begging him, I was like, please do not wait. It is not the box you want to wait for. And we see that with all the boxes now. With all the boxes, now people will just grab anything. So the question is, how high is it going to go? So I made a video, I just want to quickly tap on this before we continue. I made a video talking about, is One Piece in a bubble? And this was about a week ago. And I basically said no. I said the reason why it's not in a bubble is because all of the good boxes are going up. It's not like everything is going up. And I said once we see crappy boxes like OP08 or like OP12, once we see those boxes really hit like 200 or 250, maybe even 300, I said, all right, then we can get back to the question and really talk about, is it in a bubble? But until then, you can't tell me we're in a bubble because people are just picking good boxes. But when people get desperate and they just want to own anything, it shows the stage that we are of bubble territory, if you will. But anyways, we're not there just yet, but the point is we're seeing the desperation come in, right? Oh, and I just want to say the reason why desperation usually isn't a good thing is what happens is people use emotions to buy these. They don't use logic and they overbuy than what they can afford. The same thing happened with Pokemon. People overbought and then they had to sell some. So what will happen is these boxes go up, the cheap, crappy boxes will go up, and then people will, because they're desperate, they just want to own anything. And then what happens is that they get so emotional because everything is exploding in value, and they just think like, all right, whatever, I'll just buy this booster box. And then it goes up a little bit or it goes down a little bit, but the problem is then they have to sell it because they use their emotions to buy it, and they didn't really use logic like, hey, can I actually afford this? And then what happens is then you'll have a mass selling because a bunch of people who couldn't afford the good booster boxes bought the crappy booster boxes, realizing later that it's actually horrible value and it's most likely not going to make them any returns, or it's just sort of pointless to own it. And then they're just going to end up selling it. Same thing happened with Pokemon. We saw really, really crappy sets that were like $80, $90, $100 for the longest time hit like $320 when another set that was way better was like $280, right? Like, for anyone who's into Pokemon, Paradox Rift was $320, Twilight Masquerade was like $290. The Twilight Masquerade, for anyone who's not into Pokemon, that is the good set. So why is this really crappy set exploding in value? It was desperation, and it was a weird market, but it's pulled back where now that's like $220 or $230. Still a lot, but nonetheless, my point is that we could see a similar thing for this, but it's not going to be for a good while. It's going to be like months in advance. But anyways, so PRBO1 has moved up the least this week, and yeah, honestly, it makes sense. This box is such a good box. It was the first box to seriously go up and do like really ridiculous gains. When this box was like 650, 700, remember OPR5 was still 380, and it's really funny to me that like, it's almost like people have to miss out on something before they take action, right? Like OPR5, if it was 380 right now, I know so many people would buy it. Like once again, me personally, I'm just locked in on OP13. I have a couple of boxes. I actually do want to own one of every single One Piece booster box. I think it would be a really nice display because I noticed that in the background, there's a very white wall and I'm renting, so I can't put anything on the wall. So what I can do is I can stack booster boxes, right? So I'm thinking of getting every booster box, chucking them in acrylic cases, and then just stacking them. Which, speaking of acrylic cases, if you are in Australia and you are in need of acrylic cases, I do sell acrylic cases. I've got Pokemon boxes, but this is a One Piece video, so we'll talk about One Piece acrylic cases. It's Australia only. Realistically, shipping will be way too expensive international. So if you are in Australia and you do want acrylic cases, this is perfect for your One Piece boxes. It's a magnetic lid, so it fits on really nicely. It's not too loose where it shakes around, and then it's not too tight where it suffocates the actual box. It is very nice nonetheless. If you are interested, make sure to check the link in the description on my website, and you can use the code REAL110 to get 10% off. So yeah, I appreciate everyone who is buying them, but that's definitely what I like doing. I like stacking them, so I'm probably just gonna make like a wall. It'd be so cool if I could do that, like having one wall where it's ETBs and the one wall where it's boost box. It'll be sick, but it's a working project. And moving on to OPR9. So OPR9 last week was $350. This week is $207. Now, OPR9, I'm so blown away. I'm so impressed. This box used to be $240 only 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. Dude, now it's $407. That is incredible. Me personally, I think this is one of the boxes that is going to do really well in the next 12 months because it's really in that in-between where it's not OPR5 where it's like an $800 box, and then it's not OP13 where it's super brand new. It's in that nice in-between. It does have really good cards. It has a Gear 5 Luffy wanted poster, has Gold Roger, the Luffy manga, a Shanks manga. It's a lot of heat inside. Really good set nonetheless. So that's 407. Looking at the chart, it's a very similar thing to OPR5 where it went up a lot. Now it's kind of cooling off. And the version of One Piece boxes cooling off right now is just simply not going up 100% per week, more of like 20%. So that's its version of cooling off, right? It was 350 last week, now it's 400, so it's about a 20% return. So that's pretty cool. Okie dokie, moving on to OP10. Now this is what I was talking about earlier, how I was saying the cheap boxes are going up. Haven't exactly crunched the numbers just yet. However, it does look like OP10 will be the largest box moving up percentage wise. It moved up from $105 to $140. So this guy commented on my video and this guy was absolutely cooking. I think this might be the highest percentage moving box this week. If so, I'm going to show the comment. Oh, it's going to be so hard to find it. I'll try to find it. But this guy, he made a comment. Oh man, it's going to be hard to find because I did a giveaway and I got like thousands of comments. So it's going to be hard. If I can find the comment, this guy commented and said he's buying up OP10. He said the reason is number one, because it's crazy cheap. He said number two, because it has a Luffy on the box. And he said that just that alone is going to make the box move up a lot because it's got Luffy on it, so people will collect it. Sealed item. It's blue. It's nice. It's like almost a Romance Dawn like ripoff in a sense. It's blue. It's got Luffy on it. So yeah, he actually was really cooking there. Now, here's the thing. In a bull run, everybody's a genius, right? That is a really good saying that I really like. A lot of people, they'll buy OPR5 or they'll buy OP13 and go, oh my gosh, I'm such a genius. But it's like, okay, yeah, but everything went up, right? However, if you're buying the box that goes up the highest percentage that week, you're just smart. Like, you're just a genius. There's no beating around the bush. So if this does end up being the highest percentage and you are watching this video, the guy that made that comment, I have an utmost respect for you. You've picked the box that has gone up the highest percentage in this week. So that has immediately earned my respect. That is very impressive to do. To pick the box that will do that is so impressive. But yeah, moving on, we've got EBO2 that went from $320 to $330. Overall, this box is really good, but it is a very new box. And that's the thing, right? So we're going to see cheap boxes go from $99 to $150. We're going to see EBO1 go from $500 to maybe $1,000. We're going to see OPR5 continue to creep up. We're going to see these boxes continue to go up. The box that I find might stagnate for a good while is OP13. And the reason why is it's so new. It's open to reprints. It can really, like, anything can happen with it. I mean, I think it's a good set. I love OP13, don't get me wrong, but it's very new. And EBO2 is in a very similar situation, right? It is being blocked from going up a lot because it's so new, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a fantastic set. So it will do well. It will do incredible. It has a Gear 2 Luffy. It's beautiful. It's an amazing set. So, and the box looks phenomenal, for the record. It looks like it's a gorgeous box. So, but it only came out about 6 months ago. So, yeah, still. Amazing, very impressive. Okay, moving on to OP11, it's a very similar situation. This went from 180 to 233. So I basically say that OP11 is like a second chance of OP05. So it has the Gear 5 Luffy, the gold and silver, and then it has the Snake Man manga. Yeah, overall, it's a good box nonetheless. I think the pink is really ugly, but still, it's a really good box. It's probably going to hover at this price for a good while. I don't really see it going up much more. Maybe if all the stars line up, we can see 300 on the box, but I really do think it's going to like hover around this range. And the reason is because it is still very new. Now, you look, maybe it goes up, but the thing is, if we look back on the previous time One Piece exploded, which was when OP05 came out, we saw a lot of boxes go up really fast, but then they also went down. If anyone was there when One Piece firstly exploded, when OP05 came out 2 years ago, what happened was all boxes exploded. So it was the same thing. The good boxes went up. There were only 5, so there weren't really that many options. But the good boxes went up, and then the bad boxes went up after that, right? So then what happened was every single release, card shops would just charge $200 for a booster box, and people were just used to paying that, and they're like, all right, yeah, whatever. So like OPO6 is a great example, right? So OPO6, the pre-orders, at least in Australia, were about the 190 to 200 range. But the thing is, then you go forward like 6 months, a year, and OPO6, it was like 130, maybe even less. I bought an OPO6 boost box for 120, maybe even less. It was cheap. And the thing is, what happened was just because it was expensive at one point, it didn't mean it was going to hold that price. So what we're going to see is we're going to see a similar thing with this, where all of the expensive, good boxes will stay really expensive, but all those boxes that have gone up purely because the market is doing really well, that are subject to reprints, are more than likely going to decline, because that's kind of what happened with like 2 years ago, is that all of the good boxes held their price, all relatively held their price, but then all of the bad boxes went back down because people became less desperate. So that's why I am warning about these boxes that are like 150. If you're buying a box that just went from 100 to 150, you are buying a box that just went up 50%. I was about to say 100%. It went up 50%. So yeah, you do have to take to note, like, imagine you buy a stock, they do an earnings report, their profit is insane, and the stock goes up 50%, and then you go ahead and buy it. It's like, is that a really good decision to buy? What about the next couple months going to have a lot of people slowly taking profit? What's going to happen there? So it's a very similar situation. This has nothing to do with OP11. I'm just saying it coincidentally while I have OP11 opened. But anyways. Okay, so moving on to OP12 from 105 to 129. This is not as much as the OP10, and that's why I find OP10 so impressive, is like, dude, if that guy ends up being right, like, bravo to you, I salute you. I'll crunch the numbers once I'm done going over the boxes, but I really do hope it is OP10, because that would be so cool, man. Fire out. That, when I read that comment, I thought to myself, I was like, this actually makes a good point. Royal Blood is like $99 a box. I was thinking like, yeah, he's got a point. Could be onto something, so we'll see where it goes. But anyways, PRBO2 is from 215 to 239. So PRBO2 is a fantastic set. It's just really new once again. So it has the Sanji manga, which is a gorgeous manga. It has the Luffy, it has the Gum Gum Giant. It has a couple other really nice cards inside. This is just a good set. And I've been told by a Ripon shipper that I know that the pull rates for the Sanji is really difficult, which is reflected on the price, so it definitely does make sense. This is just such a good box. I definitely think it is probably a good purchase. It will be interesting to see if it does get reprints in the future. We'll definitely keep an eye out for that. Reprints, restocks, really whatever. But it'll be interesting to see nonetheless. I've just got one box of this for the display. Every like couple of days, I'm just buying a booster box because I'm just trying to get every single booster box because I feel like it'd look really nice on the display. That's the thing about One Piece boxes, is every single box looks really nice. That's like my only critique with Pokemon. I love their boxes. If I'm being honest with you, I just had to quickly do something, so I completely forgot what my train of thought was. I'm sure I was onto something, but I completely forgot it. So yeah, moving on to the final box. OP13 from 235 to 298. So OP13, the set we all know and love. Oh, that's right. That's what I was talking about. I forgot it, but I remembered it now. But the booster boxes, they look amazing. That's my only critique with Pokemon, is that all booster boxes look very similar. Like, this booster box looks very similar to other ones. That's my biggest critique with that. It's like, I don't really like how they don't really put a lot of effort. Back in the day, every single booster box used to be so different. Whenever I look on videos online or I go to card shows where people have vintage boxes, they all look different. They're all pieces of art. Now, they're actually really lazy with the artwork, especially with the new era. They are the laziest they've ever been with the artworks. They literally just do the same formula, slap the like set logo. It's just so ugly. I'm very disappointed that whenever it comes to the boost boxes, they used to do a really good job. Even only a couple years ago, like Evolving Skies is a work of art. Anyways, this is besides the point. With One Piece, every single box is so different. Like, this looks beautiful. EBO 1 looks beautiful. EBO 2 looks beautiful. Like, every single OPO 5, they all look so good. So that's why for me, it's like, at least I feel encouraged to collect every single one because it looks nice. That's why, like, Pokemon Elite Trainer boxes is a very similar situation. You can really see they put in the effort with them. So that's kind of where I sit there, if I'm being honest. That's why I do want to collect every single one. But anyways, it has literally nothing to do with the video. Just me yapping a bit there. So $295. This is really, really struggling to break $300. This box has been at like $295 for the longest time. Like, slowly but surely, like, there's so many sales at this price point. Like, if you just keep going back, we're still at like $297, $300, $297. You go back a little bit more, $295, $295. Like, we're still at that. Like, it's really struggling to move up, and there is a big resistance between people dumping it and then people buying it up, right? And it's like, it's very difficult because it's so new. A lot of people are very hesitant to buy. Like, if Bandai made a post saying like, hey guys, we're never going to reprint this again, it would hit 600 overnight, right? Because it's worthy to be a $600 booster box, or 7, 8, 900. But it's purely just subject to reprints, which is a big thing, right? So yeah, and also a big thing with this is there's actually a lot of quantity available. Like, you'll see this dude has 5, this guy has 10. You see, like, you know, there's some with like 5, some with 4, so 3, you know, there's a lot available on the market. So it's definitely a booster box that will most likely hover around this range, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Alrighty guys, are you guys ready to see the set that has moved up the most this week? Can I get a drum roll? It is OPO2. Congratulations. OPO2, you have officially gone up about 63% this week. That is amazing. That is actually the best performing box we've had since we've been tracking this spreadsheet. First of all, can I just say how insane these prices are? Like, OPO9, $499. Now it's like almost $800. Man, some of these boxes were so cheap only a couple weeks ago. That is redonkulous. But anyways, nonetheless, 408, it's about 63% return. Congratulations to everybody who holds that. Congratulations to everybody who's just holding OP right now. You've done a really, really good job. Pat yourself on the back. You've done a really nice job. Anyways, moving on to how it has done previously compared to the week prior. So the second week of December, it has gone up to $12,000. The previous week was $11,200, which means this week is up a staggering 7% from the prior week. So the fourth week of November, it was $9,937. So it has gone up like, what, over $2,000 in 2 weeks. That's insane, dude. That's ridiculous. If you have no idea what you're doing, if you have no idea what One Piece is, and you're just buying up every box and just playing it as safe as possible, you're up $2,000 in the last 2 weeks. That is amazing. But anyways, that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see a spreadsheet, make sure to check the description. Got it there for free. You can just check it out. I track it and update it every Friday of every single week. So that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.